There's a special method that you need to know about. I'm going to teach you two special methods today. There are many, many more, but there are two that I'm going to teach you today. The first one is called the initialization method, or init. Okay? It has two underscores in front of it and two underscores after it. What this allows you to do is create the value of properties when the object is created. When an instance, when you build the car, you can then decide how many wheels it has or what the make of the car is on the fly by giving those parameters. The initialization method runs every time you build an instance of that class. So when you build an instance of the class, it runs. You can do other things with it, but the most important thing you're going to do with it is set the value of properties. So it's kind of silly. Maybe you thought this when we did this, but it's kind of silly to establish the number of wheels on a car and also the color as a static variable. Like, that would be like if you worked at a Toyota factory and all of the cars coming off the assembly line were the same color. Let's say they're all silver. And then if you wanted a different color Toyota, you would have to paint it a different color on top of the silver color. Nobody would want it. Nobody would think that makes sense. What you want to do is decide the color of the car when you create the car. So instead of having these static variables, what we want to do is we want to create an initialization method. And it's usually the first method that you use. Okay. You'll notice it takes the self parameter because it still needs to access its own variables. So that's what self is here for. But we're going to give it a couple of other parameters. We're going to give it int w and strc. Those are shorthand for int wheels and string color, but those are the parameters, and I don't want you to get confused the parameters with the properties that we're using here. So all we're going to do is we're going to take the number of wheels and the color, and we're going to assign those to those properties. So I'm going to say self dot int wheels equals intw, and I'm going to say self dot str color equals strc. So what we're doing is we're defining those parameters so that when we create the object, we give it those values, and then those values become those properties. So now that we've defined these two as part of the initialization, we don't need them. What you're also going to see is that if I run this now, after adding that initialization, it's going to say you're missing two required arguments. Why are they required? Because now that's part of the initialization. So if I want to create a car with 4 wheels that is black, or a car with 6 wheels, make it extra special, that is green. I'm picturing like a metallic green for this one with the 6 wheels, make it really fancy. Now those cars get built with those specifications. So that gives me even more flexibility because now I can start building these cars, and as I build them, I'm giving them the color, the wheels. I could do anything else that I wanted. You can have any number of properties. You can also use default arguments here. So if I wanted to, I could say equals 4 and equals white. Now, because I gave default arguments here in the initialization method, if I build that class and don't supply those pieces of information, then it just gets built with those as the defaults. So I could now call the class just like that with no additional data, or I could construct that instance by supplying the information. So that gives me even more flexibility. So all we're doing here, the idea of a class is new and grouping this stuff is new, but now we're just putting that stuff together in a package and calling it a class. So that is what the initialization method does for me, right? It allows me to specify, and again, anything I want to happen when the car is built. At the instant when it's built, if I want something to happen, I just put it in that initialization method. Including, let's just say, if I wanted to print something out when I create that object, you made a car, let's just say a STRC car with int W wheels. So now when I run this, just the fact that I'm creating that car is going to print out that sentence. You made a white car with 4 wheels. You made a green car with 6 wheels. So that is being printed or executed as I'm creating the object. So I can do something like that. Now there's one more.